Welcome to the Hex. We are the Ladies Hex. I'm Lindley Forrest. I'm the editor and the producer of Hex 11, and I'm the president of HexComix.
Look at you.
And I'm here, of course, with my
Associates.
lovely associates. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
I am Kelly Sue Milano. I am the writer of Hex 11, and I do a lot of things at HexComix, and I can't think of the titles of those things right now.
We like to call you the VP of Communications.
VP of Communications.
Oh, look at that.
How about that?
And also development.
I do a lot of things here.
We all do. We all do a
many
lot of
hats.
that.
I am Lisa K. Weber. I am the artist of Hex 11, the creative director,
And the
of
creator of Hex
and
11.
the creator of Hex 11.
Yeah.
Those are my titles.
And we are here having a fabulous time sitting in the Hex Bar, which we stumbled upon in a magical moment in our garage. Wasn't here one day, and then all of a sudden it was. And that's what you get sometimes when you have
Exactly.
people who live with you. So this is our inaugural moment
Yes.
into the Meet Me in the Hex series, where we are going to be sitting with many of our friends who we know and love, who play a variety of roles in the world relating to comic books.
Yes.
We are very honored and super excited to have our first guest tonight be Ms. Natalie Dreyfuss.
Yay!
And I'm going to turn this over to our esteemed colleague, Mrs. Kelly Sue, and she is going to tell you all of the wonderful things about Natalie and what she's doing, and then we are going to get to have a great conversation over some drinks sometimes about what Natalie's life is like. So kick it, K-Sue.
Okay. It's so good to see you, Nat, by the way. I want to start by saying that first and foremost. I have known Natalie for so many years.
I was going to say, you're my VP of communications as well.
It's true.
That's how I describe you.
It's true. I'm really good at communications. In many different
Communicating is a strong suit.
It's a strong suit of mine. Who knew? So anyway, I've known Natalie for so many years, and it's so hard to talk about all the things that she's done because even though she might not say it, her career in film and television is actually very extensive. She's been on shows all over this great land. And a lot of those shows have been genre. She was on the originals. She was also on True Blood. And right now she stars as Sue Dearborn/Dibney on The Flash on CW, which is a huge, 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 huge television moment for the Flash fans and for a lot of DC fans too. I think that The Flash has been doing so well, as you know, other shows from the DCU maybe are doing not as great. We don't have to talk about that. But The Flash has such a solid fan base. And when I remember when Natalie told me that she had booked The Flash, I was like, oh my gosh, you're finally coming into my world with my people.
Funny how things converge.
Exactly.
Across the stream.
Natalie and I were roommates for almost 2 years, and during that time I was working on Hex 11, and we were constantly going to Comic-Cons, so she got to have this sort of behind the scenes view of the independent comic world, and now here she is in this beautiful kind of like television platform for the Flash. So I think that kind of leads me into the very first thing we want to talk about, which is how awesome is it to be a female superhero?
Seriously,
How? Yeah, I mean, I think when I originally got the job, I just didn't understand how big it was and how big the universe was going to be, and entering into the DC universe, what that meant, and playing like this powerful female badass. Like I didn't know enough about what I was getting into. So it's unfolding for me even now, what this actually is and how cool it is, and what it is to kind of step into this genre and learn so much about a world that's so, huge and vast. And, I get to wear a suit and kick butt, and I love I love the character. She's funny. They let me play. It's a very playful set, which I was not expecting from a hour-long episodic. I was like, oh man, I like comedies.
Yeah.
And then I got there and everybody's like, feel free, like whatever you want to do. And also we're gonna throw you off buildings, and like here's your harness and here's your suit. And I was like, what's happening? Like I just didn't understand what I was signing up for. And every single time I've been in Vancouver shooting this thing, I get to do something I've never done before. And I mean, as you know, Kel, like this feast or famine lifestyle, I always think, well, this might be the last time I ever see a camera. So it's really cool that I got thrown off a building once. Like,
totally. Yeah. So like Lindley was asking, what are some of like the coolest / craziest things that you've gotten to do in terms of like stunts or being thrown off buildings?
Yeah, it's all been so much more intense than I expected. Like, you know, you read the script and it's like, and then she shoots a cable and gets, you know, pulled into the ceiling, and you're like, oh, cool, computers. And they're like, nope.
And I love that the scriptwriters speak with like a mid-Atlantic accent when they're talking about your stuff
From the 40s. Oh, and then she's got a cable and she pulls it. I don't know where that comes from.
Writers sound like. Yeah, I can say this as a writer. I certainly have my voice in my mind is mid-Atlantic always. Exactly. And this sack of potatoes and
yeah. And so I've gotten to do crazy stuff, like even just being fitted for a harness for the first time, which is an insane thing.
Oh my God.
I was like, so how does this work? Like crazy. Oh my God, are you throwing off the building? Like you put a harness on, and I was like, oh, it's like you want it, like it's so painful. I had bruises over my body for weeks. It's because they're like, oh no, you want it tight because we're throwing you off a building, so you're gonna want it to hurt so that there's no room for falling out. And you know, it was like I was braver than I thought I would be when I was up there. I was like, let's go higher. So I enjoyed that stuff.
So there weren't a ton of moments where you were like, oh God, I'm having to do this thing that's insane and I'm very scared.
Not as much as you'd think, knowing me. I was actually pretty excited about all of it. Again, it's just like with this career, you never know. And every opportunity that comes my way, I think is a miracle. And I look at it that way. And I'm like, what a miracle that I get to experience this insane thing in a rubber suit.
Yeah. That's incredible. I think that
you can say that.
Yeah.
thing.
How often?
If everything ends tomorrow, I got to do a thing in a rubber suit. What?
This is awesome. It's so true about just acting and the entertainment industry in general. Everybody is always so excited to do everything because they're like, I don't know when I'm going to be on the next set or in the next writer's room or on the next whatever. And I think that's one of the greatest things about working in this business is that everybody's just super stoked when things are happening.
Well,
you know?
I think especially with the comic thing in particular, because so many people are living their dream.
Yeah.
You know, like the people making it, the people writing it, the people producing it, the people directing it. Like, I think a lot of people are and please fill me in if you have insights, but I would think a lot of people who are drawn to this were like, oh, it's because I'm a fan, like our friend Sterling or whatever,
Totally,
where it's like, I've been a lifelong comic fan, and here all of a sudden the world is opened up and everyone's very interested in that. And now we've got all these kind of avenues or whatever for all of this incredible, like the Avengers, and it's taken over everything. And I'm sure for people who have been hardcore comic fans forever, like this is heaven.
Yeah.
You know, like it's one of the
Totally.
biggest one we for forever.
Yeah.
You know, it's exciting. And I don't I didn't come necessarily from a comic background either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's a bit it's inspiring and it's a bit addicting, like to see how excited other people get about it and be like, oh, well, if you're this into it, let me see what I can get into.
Totally.
You know?
And that kind of brings me to the next question that we had for you, which is like, what was it like stepping into this fandom?
Yeah. Well, the most surprising thing for me has been the lack of hate.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in this world of being in the public in any capacity and online in any way, you expect half hate, at least half, probably more than half.
Yeah.
Wow.
And because the comic community is excited and they have loved these characters, I'm the first person to ever play Sue. People have been waiting to see a Sue, which is really fun. And so I get really beautiful messages daily from fans that have read this comic since the 60s and they've always loved Sue, and they are so excited that they gave her this full, complex life rather than just a wife.
Mhm.
And I could have easily just been a love interest for Ralph, and that's what it was in the 60s. And instead they were like, we don't even want to go there, we want to make her own huge complex character. And
So
working for DC in that way just is such an honor because of the way that they portray women. You see things like Wonder Woman and things that I didn't even know that I was such a comic fan outside of the comic community, because Kel, for your birthday, one year we at midnight went to see the new Avengers. Like I always loved that stuff. Like I
that we
Kelly,
have
do you
stumbled
remember
upon
that?
this story.
Weird. I'm not sure.
did
Kelly-
you think it wasn't going to come up?
And what's funny is I didn't think it was going to come up, but now that it has, I guess we need to just
Yeah, memory
Get it over
serves
with.
me well. Kelly Sue, who turns into a pumpkin at 9:00, was like, you know what I want to do for my birthday?
I want to go see the Avengers at midnight.
movie.
I laughed out loud and she was like, I'm not kidding. And I was like, there's no way. And she was like, I'm so excited. I'm not going to fall asleep. There's no way. I'm so excited.
Wasn't it like
Cut to.
It was
something?
opening night
Yes.
of Age of Ultron, which, and I can say this here, and I don't care if anybody gives me any blowback. Age of Ultron was terrible. It was the worst Avengers movie. Like, a robot with teeth is my first question.
It was weird.
I think it
And
was.
I disagree. I watched it yesterday. I loved it. I disagree.
And that's like, actually, I love it, but I think I might love it so much because of the story.
The story of your birthday.
Not in there.
Yeah.
I hear Kelly Sue snoring like
I fell
like
asleep.
not even
4 minutes in, she's out.
Oh.
5-10 minutes
Oh,
in.
really?
I
For the
fell
opening?
asleep for the opening. The opening is with Tony Stark, right?
How much you know?
Who remembers?
Who remembers?
All I
I
know
tried to wake you up like 3 times and you were like, I know I'm in it. I'm watching.
It's so good.
You're like, James Spader's so hot.
Oh my God, seriously. That is one thing that I remember, is I remember the beautiful sound of James Spader's voice reverberating in my dream space.
I can't watch Age of Ultron without thinking about your obsession with James Spader. Like, it's just, I think that's why I like it. I'm like, I just think of Kel freaking out.
Listen.
It's
That was
like
a
Age of
problem,
Ultron, we
but-
watch it and we have Kelly Sue nostalgia.
Yeah.
Oh.
So now we love Age of Ultron.
See, this is what I get
Oh,
when
man.
I'm like, this movie sucks. And everybody's like, well, guess what? It makes us think of you.
This
Anyway,
movie sucks. That's why we love it.
exactly. So how about, enough about me. Let's talk about you. Oh my God, I'm blushing
I'm
so
so glad
hard.
you got that out of the way.
I know. We just had to get that out of
You know what's funny is every time we tell this story, we act like it's the last time we're ever going to tell it.
Yeah, but it's not.
But we never
It's too
told it
good.
with you, Natalie.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing.
Or share it
Thanks
with
for
all of
like
our Patreon
introducing
friends.
it.
Yeah. Not everybody- Do you need to go to bed?
You know what? I don't want to be the director of communications for this company anymore.
You're like, I'm quitting and I'm only going to be the director of communication for Natalie's life.
You can't quit because you're fired. Easy enough.
Easy enough.
So I will take a minute here in the middle of this insanity to say that I think that we're taking questions somewhere.
We are taking
Um,
questions.
Although I think we might need to, and I can do this, log into Patreon because I think that the chat might be there. But I just want to make sure that no
I
one's
think
asking.
Lily is in Patreon.
Are you?
I am in Patreon right
Are
now.
you in our
But
post?
you have to go to our page, like our home page,
Okay.
probably.
I think
to
that's
see
where
it.
I'm
there
at.
we go.
Yeah. Again, this is our very first time doing anything like this.
Yeah,
For
so-
those of
There
you,
was one thing that I really wanted to bring up with you guys, because
please.
like in living with you and watching Hex, behind the scenes, and I felt really intimidated by the comic book world.
Wow.
And every time I'm asked to do an interview at DC or whatever, I have this instinct to call you. I have this instinct to be like, okay, my Batman girl, like tell me what to do, like tell me what to say. So I need to say the right thing. I want the fans to appreciate me. And there's this sense of like really being intimidated by the world of it. But the truth is that like I've been really authentic and honest that this is a new world to me. And I've been exploring that world that's so huge. And I have interest in it and passion for it. And even just the Flash in itself is a huge universe that I'm still learning.
Huge.
And when asked about that, I don't lie. I don't say like, oh yeah, I've seen all of it and I know everything about it and you can ask me anything, because like I will get caught lying and I feel like, you know, you're right. I don't know enough about it and I'm willing to learn and I'm excited to learn, and I'm excited to learn about the character that I'm playing, because that's a lot of questions I get. Like, were you a fan of Sue before? Did you know about her? Did you know about any of this? And I'm like, honestly, no, but I'm stoked and I'm excited. And I think there's never a time when you can't start liking graphic novels and deciding that this is something that's fun and interesting, because for me, I kind of thought that was your thing. And, you know, I was intimidated by the world of it, and being someone that's like not a great reader and doesn't, you know, relate to that kind of thing. I realize now how much I've always kind of been a fan of this genre, and how exciting it is to be a part of it. And on the inside of it now, it makes me feel much less intimidated, and the community is much less intimidating than I thought. They're not cruel to me. I was trying to say that earlier. They're not hating. They're not hating on me. They're sending me love constantly. And the amount of hate that I get is so small compared to the amount of overwhelming support and love and excitement. It makes me want to do my job better. And it's just something I wanted to say to you guys, because I know that it can be intimidating for the world of people who don't know this whole vast universe. And I'm dipping my toe into it little by little, and I'm like, this is amazing, and it makes me so excited to learn more and more about different things.
Absolutely.
So
I'm so
no, you go ahead. I was just going to say, you mentioned about chats. We've got some people who have posted some things, some of our dear friends.
Yes.
And I didn't know if we wanted to, again, we're, fixing this car as we're driving it.
Yes, we are.
At 90 miles an hour down the highway. Do I want to share these comments with
Yeah. We're going to take some of the comments and the questions.
Yeah.
We don't have any questions yet, but there are some interesting comments. So Sterling Gates is our first one to chat. He's like, yay, the Hex Gang and Natalie.
Yay. Sterling is our very dear friend.
That's so awesome.
Written the Flash for the last however many seasons it's been on. So it's really cool, for those two worlds to converge.
I know, amazing.
Hi, Sterling.
And then our good friend Dean Galea is just so glad to see everybody. Lisa, great to see Natalie Z and the rest of the Hex Gang. And he wished he could share a martini, and he's like, yeah, right. Like, I'm a martini guy. Who's not a martini guy?
Come on.
I'm drinking straight whiskey, buddy. I got you.
Maybe you could just be a straight whiskey guy.
Totally.
And then of course our good friend Ruben says, he's actually listening to the details here and saying, given the show's history, talking in response to Natalie, I'm optimistic and excited for Sue's future, and hopefully it won't be like the comics for her.
Yeah. I've had to learn what that means, because I get that question a lot, and I get, the identity crisis question a lot. But basically, I think knowing the Flash, and if you're a fan of the show, the departure from the comics is huge. A lot of the times they take a blueprint of what is there and then they run with it. So I know, that there's a lot of stuff I can't say. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know genuinely.
Yeah.
But I do know that they don't want to do what was already done with Sue, and they want to give her own motives and her own set of skills. And obviously, like, she's never had a cat burglar suit, and like they've already taken major departures. And in terms of the relationship with Ralph, that's not the central thing in this woman's life, which I think is really awesome and makes me proud to work for the Flash and for DC.
That's so awesome. And it really is. I know that and this is an ongoing theme for us, just as women who work in comics, who write a woman in a comic. And when Hex 11 was first starting, we were kind of entering into this space on the heels of Gamergate and on the heels of these big conversations about the way that women are treated in comics. And I know that Sue is very much one of those characters where her treatment, the way she was written, the storylines that were written for her that were very violent and very misogynistic were actually like, there were a lot of people talking about her character.
Yeah. I get that question a lot because it's so gruesome. Her story and identity crisis is so dark. And, you know, I didn't know any of that. And in doing the research of it, I was like,
wow.
Oh boy, where is this? Where's this going? But I do know that, you know, that stuff is not something that's like typical for the Flash. And I also know that they are really taking liberties to make this a strong female badass character. And that is so exciting and so fun.
It's been such a long time coming, and I can't tell you how much more interesting these shows are because of it. You know?
Yeah.
And
I love that they're not just immediately like, oh, love interest for Ralph. You know, it would have been really easy to do that. They've been dying for a love interest for Ralph. So it would have been so easy to just bring in an arm candy and be like, he has her now. And instead they were like, no, we're not doing that. We're taking a very different route where he's this incredible detective mind, and they gave him a giant mystery human in me, which is so fun. And all of our scenes are me just one step ahead and constantly messing with this character that usually is one step ahead of everybody. So he's constantly intrigued and frustrated by me because I'm one step ahead of him, which as a female is really fun to be able to like come in and have that strength and have that like be a big part of our relationship. And Hartley and I have been friends for 10 years. So that really helps with that relationship as well. There's a certain amount of rapport and safety on set when it comes to like messing with each other and bringing that friendship into our scenes. That is really fun. And I think makes you like the Pam and Jim, like more excited for seeing them eventually get together. But like until that point, you want to stretch that out as long as possible. You want to see like, where is it going to go? I don't even know that they'll ever get together. I would imagine so, but that's not something that I'm privy to, you know, that it could go any way. It's the Flash. It could go any direction. So people ask me that all the time. When are they going to get married? And I'm like, the truth is, I don't know. I know that he's important to my life and that we are drawn to each other all the time, inexplicably drawn to each other. That's it. That's all I know. And that's all I need to know.
Totally. Well, and I think we all, like, everybody can sort of understand that relationship, which is why I think it's always so, like Pam and Jim.
Yeah.
It's like we loved them so much because we're like, we have that person or we've had that experience.
Sam and Diane.
And it's so great that it's wonderful to hear that that's something that they're doing with these characters as people. And it is also so heartening and so, it's just so affirmative that the DC universe on this very mainstream platform on the CW is saying, we're going to do this shit differently and we want to make it better. And that's so
refreshing.
It's refreshing and it's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. In our season finale that aired 2 weeks ago, we had a fight scene that we did for 3 nights and it was all females.
That's amazing.
It was insane. Like it was so much footage that they ended up using like cells, like graphic novel cells on the screen so that they didn't have to cut the footage in half because they wanted to include so much of what we did. And me being a dancer, I was able to jump in for a lot of it and do a lot of it myself. And so I was excited to see it. And in the end, you know, it's snipped together in certain ways, but they really focused in on the women versus women, and Ralph is there as well. But it's a lot of the most dangerous characters in this season have all been female, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah, that's
I love
very
that.
cool.
We're very into a female villain.
We are.
And
love
even
a
just
female
females
villain.
who are not villains, but who can kick some serious ass.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, like my character looks like a villain a lot of the time. Like she's doing stuff and people are like, what is her deal? Like, why is she being evil? And what is her real motive here? Like, we just don't know. And I'm like, that's great. I relate to her.
I love it.
Yes.
So then this is kind of a nice segue into one of the other questions that we had about playing a superhero, which is what have been the challenges aside from these harnesses that
And the
take your
bruises.
breath away and the bruises? Like, what have you found to be the challenge? Not necessarily like, I don't want to get into like a conversation of like the negative aspects necessarily, but like the challenges that it was an instance where you were like, wow, I'm really outside of my comfort zone and I'm having to sort of rise up to this, or what has that been like?
Yeah, I think you know me. I've been doing this a long time. It's weird for me to be nervous.
Yeah.
Like I don't get nervous. I've just done it for too long, and I'm like, cool, we're doing this now.
Yeah.
And I got to the Flash the first day, and I was flooded with fear. And I was like, I'm terrified. And I had to like take myself aside and say to myself, like, okay, you care.
Yep.
Interesting. Also, you can't be perfect today.
Yeah.
So whatever shows up, that's going to have to be okay. I had very much Kelly Sue in my head. My VP of communications was like, you can't be perfect today. So remove that from the table. You can do whatever else you need to do. And of course, it allowed for me to get all the lines right and everything that I was worried about. I had this big scene with all the spy jargon. It was my first day, and it was like 5 pages of spy stuff and props and zooming in. And it was like, and it was all the cameras were on me. Then I was like, is this what it always is like on this set? And I don't know the set. And there's so many people. There's like a crew that's so big that I can't even know people's names because they change every day. And I was like, I was so overwhelmed. And it's the first person that's ever played Sue. I'm like, which is kind of cool because I'm not doing an impression of somebody else, but I also don't know what I want to bring to it other than me. And is that enough? And whatever. And so I was really scared, and I was surprised by that fear. And to me, that's always an indicator that I care, which is a good thing. And I calmed myself down, got through the first take, got it all out. So I was like, now I can mess up. It's fine. They know I'm a professional. I got it. I did it. I did 5 pages. Most people can't do that. I've done it. And the sound girl comes up to me and she's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I was like, what's up? And she was like, we need to move your mic because your heart is beating so loudly that we can't hear your dialogue.
Your heart is beating so loudly, we can't hear your dialogue.
I've been doing this for so long. Never once has anyone needed to move my mic because my heart was so loud. It was pounding out of my chest. I was scared.
Incredible.
And my immediate response was like, yeah, I'm very strong. My run. So it does that.
Yeah,
That's why I run.
I just have a really, I have a very robust heartbeat. It's fine.
Honestly, my heart's very strong heartbeat. Let's move it. Let's move it. It happens all the time. It happens every day. Let's move it. That's for sure.
I've got a lot of love and very athletic.
And I do have to,
Yeah.
like literally, in the time that I've known Natalie, I've seen her do insane things that would make me want to like crawl into a hole in the ground. And she's done them being like, I don't even care. I mean, I remember going and seeing Natalie tape live on stage a pilot, and she was like, this is fine. And the days leading up to it, she was like, no, like, it's good. It's not a big deal. I just have all these lines and I have to do all of these things and it's tomorrow. And I'm like, this sounds terrible.
I know.
And then she's like, do you want to come watch it? I'm like, I'm going to be too nervous to watch you do anything. I can't.
Just the
I'm going to be
thought.
I was like, also I have bronchitis. It's a kind of a bummer, but whatever.
We're sick. She's like, no, come watch. I'm like, I don't know if I can. I might not be like a beneficial presence for you. And you were literally like, I can't even begin to tell you how much it doesn't matter.
I was like, good luck throwing me. Like, not much can throw me. I just feel like I'm good at my job. I've trained a long time to do it. It doesn't freak me out as much as I think it does other people, because I don't have a super perfectionistic, result-oriented attitude. I really do look at things for process. Just like getting a harness put on, I'm like, well, this might never happen again. Like, instead of being like, I don't like how it's gonna look. But I think it serves me when it comes to nerves. But when nerves came, I was shocked. And it was an indicator to me that I actually really wanted to do well. And I continue to feel that way, especially with the love from the fans. Like, the comic community has made me want to do even more. And the way that they respond to me just being me and bringing myself and truth to this character and having fun with it and allowing, it to be a departure from maybe what's on the page, or maybe what's, like, I'm bringing myself to these things. And they respond to it so well. And so it makes me inspired to do that more.
Well, and I think something we discovered, when we came into it, like starting with the cons and those things, is the community is substantial and it's remarkable. Like, you really are part.
Welcoming.
I mean, you're part of something. It's like you really get to be part of something, part of these people's lives. It's a very intimate relationship in a way, as is all writers. I mean, same thing with movies. Anybody who creates things that you're going to sit and spend literally your you know, we only have so many hours to be alive. And you're going to choose to spend so many of your hours with the stuff that we create, you know, or the, you know, that we create with whatever.
Yeah, I did a takeover for the Instagram for CW, and it was like a live, just like me talking and answering questions and stuff. And so many of the comments were like, "Is that you or Sue?" Like, I can't, like, you're being Sue. And I was like, I love that because, yes, like I bring as much of myself as possible to the work. And I love that people were like, "Are you being Sue right now?" And I was like, "Sue's me, guys." I was like, I'm a cat burglar. Like,
that is
you're
amazing.
the same.
I'm gonna steal your heart. Okay.
Yeah. If you're gonna be a part of people's lives, like, be yourself in it. You know, bring as much truth as you can, bring as much of your life experience and your honesty as you can. That's the kind of artist I like to be. That's what makes me not nervous, because as long as I'm doing something that feels truthful, I don't feel like a fake. I don't feel like an imposter. As soon as I step outside of that and I start to feel like you need to be perfect because there's pressure now, the nerves flood, you know, and then there's fear and then there's doubt. And that's something that, like, I've had to really adjust when it comes to this specific kind of craft, because it is so public and it is scary, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm, to that note, I'm really curious. I'm assuming that you guys probably had a lot of, kind of con events planned for this year.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
because I don't even know. Have you done cons yet?
I no, but I did my first virtual Comic-Con this year. So it was like at the end of last month. They asked me to just come on and do a Mainframe Comic-Con panel. So it was just me doing an interview, and it was like, I was right after Seth Green, so I popped in on his interview for a little bit and watched him, and he was super inspiring and fun. And then I came in and talked a little bit about the Flash for like my half-hour segment, and then they moved on to the next person, which was super fun. But that's my first experience with cons, and I would absolutely love to do them. I would love to be involved in that community and to go meet people that this means something to, because it really is important to them.
Yeah, they're a ton of fun. You'll have so many stories.
Oh,
so many stories.
And when they do come back around, man, it's
amazing.
Yeah, it's a one of a kind experience, no doubt. And I can't tell you, you know, obviously we wandered into it like, well, I don't know what we're doing. Let's go do this. Sure. Because that's how I'm kind of like you.
It's so true.
Like, I'm not worried. Let's just go figure it out. And so we just kind of jumped into all of these things, and oh man, it just exceeded our expectations beyond belief. And it's strange because they're, you know, for us, they're obviously like a ton, they are for anybody, but they're a ton of work. And it's just the three of us, you know, so it's like, so we were getting away. We were like, oh, good, a break. And also then we were like, oh, but I miss the people.
It's so
the energy, and you miss the feedback, and you miss seeing like what other people are doing. And you know, it's just something real special. There's something, and there are other communities too. It's not like it's just like they've got the cornerstone on it or whatever. Yeah. But it is just something, I think that we feel really honored to just be a part of it in a way. And it's just remarkable when you think about it. There's very few other industries or even like creative expressions that have this kind of fan base and this kind of access and this kind of like venue to share and to be shared. You know, it's really quite remarkable. And I'm just so glad that it's elevated itself to this place where now you can play this role, and where you are getting all of this positive feedback, and where everyone can truly see themselves in these stories, because they're incredible stories. I mean, they're mythology, you know, they're myth-like stories for our generation in a way, or you know, for this current reality, so to speak.
And there's so much relatable things within those myths, and it's wonderful. I know, like, from just watching my Instagram followers blow up and quickly, it overwhelms me a bit trying to interact with people on a daily. But the other day my mom called me and she was like, I need you to go search out this one comment on your photo because it's the cutest little girl and she plays soccer and I'm obsessed with her and I need you to just reach out to her and tell her. And I was like, okay. And I had to like sift through the comments because I look through them, but it's a lot. And so, I try not to spend all this time on screen time and working, trying to keep it normal and not be constantly looking at comments and things. But I see the messages that are supportive, and I appreciate that so much. But when it's a young girl, that it is like, she plays soccer every day and she works really hard and she's in quarantine and she's just like, I love your character and you mean so much to me. My mom was like, please write her. And I immediately was like, I see you, girl, you're a queen. And she was like, oh my God. And it was really cute. And so I love that interaction, and I'm excited for that for Comic-Con, because I think it's a different type of interaction than it can be on social media. It's probably, I don't know, but from the way that you talk about it, from the way Kelly has always talked about it, the interaction is overwhelming, but it's also so intimate and so fulfilling, and it's very different. You can have a different amount of reach than you can when you're sifting through comments like that.
Mm-hmm. And nothing beats it, to be honest. I mean, we've set up all of these different ways, and we've tried to figure out all these, cool avenues for keeping in touch with people that we would normally see at shows, like the people who've been leaving comments on this video. And it doesn't, we can create this presence on Patreon, we can have our presence on Instagram and Facebook or whatever, and it doesn't even come close to being able to get together with the buzz of a con, and everybody's just so super excited. It was like, and I've talked to you about this 100 times, where I was like, I'm so happy that it finally became cool in the zeitgeist to be a nerd, because all that nerds really are openly enthusiastic about shit.
And why can't we show our emotions?
And that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There was a few interviews lately where I was embarrassed to say what I've actually been doing during quarantine, because most of it is playing Lego Marvel Superheroes 2.
I'll note to it.
And I was like on my little Nintendo Switch, and I was like, I don't know that I can say that. Like, I felt a little bit like, I was like, yeah, I paint stuff, like cactuses and stuff. And I was like, but honestly, like, I play a lot of Switch. And they were like, what are you playing? Like Animal Crossing? And I was like, no, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. And I was like, just hours of my life has been pouring into this, but I'm enthusiastic about it, and I'm enthusiastic about Battlestar Galactica. Like, these are things I'm enthusiastic about, and I do have all those nerd qualities that have always been a huge part of who I am. And it is,
when I moved in with you, you were like, I just need you to know that I'm basically professional level at Mario Kart on the Wii.
So know that.
It was not Mario Kart. It's Super Mario Brothers. I'm just saying it's different. It's different. I'm not writing stuff. Like, I'm a puzzle finder. I find all those secrets.
Time that I've put my foot in it when it comes to references about stuff. I made a Jango Fett very angry.
Yes, because
I called him Boba Fett.
How?
And oh man, he had no problem publicly shaming me.
It was.
Wow.
It was our very first con. We were like, geez, guys, go easy.
He's like, I'm not Boba Fett. And I was like.
And then some other dude walked up and said, he's Jango Fett.
Yeah. And I was like, I know that. I'm sorry.
Everybody.
There's a part of you that's like,
People get serious.
do I have to prove my passions to you now?
Yes.
I truly do have these passions. I shouldn't have to prove them.
And everybody was like, listen,
Yeah.
if you want to roll up in here,
Yeah. You need to check yourself.
you better get
before
it
you wreck yourself.
straight.
Better come correct.
Yeah. You better know the diff.
I think it's time for you to take a
It's
seat,
actually
little
not true
sister.
at all. If
It's
you
not.
don't know stuff, as you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
if you don't know stuff, it's totally cool
It's
to not
so
know
fine.
stuff.
I don't know anything.
Just
literally.
so long as you're interested in learning stuff.
Yeah. But that's my
Exactly.
favorite thing is I want to talk to people who are passionate about whatever it is they're interested in. Because
Yes.
I'm interested in that.
Mhm.
I'm interested
Right.
in people's passions. Like,
Yeah.
I want to talk to people who are engaged, because then that's how I learn best about things. I'm like,
Totally.
tell me what you know, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm never going to read this stuff. It's not because I don't want to. It's because I don't have the bandwidth for it. I've got 17,000 other things namely my mother. I've got,
There we go.
I've got a kid. I've got a long list of shit between, sitting down and being like, let me just get involved in this world. I'm not built for that, but I will sit and talk to someone and listen to them for days. I want you to tell me why this matters, because then I'll know that it matters, and then it will matter to me,
Yeah.
So, man, the interaction is one of the highlights of my life. Just
You're gonna
listening
love
to other
it.
people tell me what they know.
They'll be back.
love it.
They'll totally be back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all are in such a weird time. We don't know what's coming, but we know that like now more than ever, art and entertainment is like an incredible thing to be providing people. I know it's something I lean on every single day. I'm going through, of course I love DC, and I'm happy to be a DC family, but I've been watching all the Marvel movies in order, just by chronological order, because it's fun. And it brings me so much joy. And I just finished Mandalorian and all those stuff, and it's like,
Hey, Mandalorian!
So cool.
if someone could just get me a Baby Yoda, my life would be.
I cried so many times watching The Mandalorian.
I can't even imagine you dealing with that Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I didn't deal with it.
I just
did
couldn't
not
with
deal with it well. When I heard all of the interviews with Werner Herzog about the way that he felt about the Baby Yoda, I was like, I've always known that Werner and I are cut of the same cloth.
Yeah, for sure.
And now I know it for sure.
Yeah.
Because he was like, how dare you?
I love that sentence so much. I've always known that Werner Herzog and I are cut from the same cloth. I'm like, what?
We totally are.
I know you both, but wow.
Yeah, we totally are. We feel the same way about Los Angeles. That it's a cultural paradise.
It's a cultural paradise. I agree.
And when they were talking about possibly doing Baby Yoda as CGI, he called them cowards.
Yes.
And I just need that to always be said
Yeah.
in the same breath as mentioning him forever and all time. from here on out.
Wait, I'm sorry. They called them cowards. Why?
Because the Baby Yoda on The Mandalorian is a puppet.
Yeah.
So when they said, "Oh, we're gonna do one without the puppet and possibly try CGI," and he called them all cowards.
Exactly. Of course he would, because that guy is 100% hardcore.
He's old school.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
And he's like, "You call yourself filmmakers. You call yourself filmmakers."
Yes, you
I was waiting for it. I was like, do the accent.
Like, how long are we going to hold out before we do the accent?
Come on, if you're going to be with Werner Herzog,
Exactly.
you're going to have to speak in a neo-European accent.
Exactly.
You're going to tell the story. You better be prepared.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing.
I'm so happy that we did that
I
on
know.
this video.
Me too.
We got to talk
I'm
about
so happy that we're doing this interview, but I'm mostly happy that Werner Herzog came up.
so casual. But as we come into the end of the hour, there are a handful of questions I have. So you mentioned The Mandalorian. What is your favorite thing that you're watching right now?
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been going through Marvel Universe in chronological order, which is super fun. And I know the movies so well, but I've never watched them in like perfect order. And so I feel like that's really fun. And then what else am I watching right now? I dipped back into House of Cards, which I thought, which was an interesting choice for me to maybe dip back into that.
I would not that
Unexpected.
expected.
But yeah, I was like thinking about Robin Wright, and like I don't know, I just wanted to watch the process of it, and I remember how good season 1 was, and so I got really into that, and I've been binging that and watching her sort of take over the world, which is kind of fun. Because when you watch those kinds of things, you watch them like years apart, it's like a year off, and then it's like you're trying to jump back into it. But when you can binge it all, it's really fun. And I'm just so happy that HBO Max released Friends the other day.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say, she's rewatching Friends.
To make me quarantine by myself
Yeah.
and not give me friends was a weird
Yeah.
joke. I was like,
You're like, hey world, that's a weird flex, but okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What is it?
that was super weird.
The bad hits different.
Yeah.
Bad instance.
I thought about you when I saw that Friends was no longer available on streaming because they were prepping it for HBO Max, and I was like, is Natalie okay?
Of course, I had just started rewatching it too, so I was like in the good Chandler seasons when they took it away.
It's the perfect quarantine
Totally.
medicine, though,
It really
Oh,
is.
yeah.
I know.
for that.
Yeah.
I know. You need that in the I like to have it in the background while I'm doing little crafts.
We're
Yeah.
watching.
I can picture the scenes. I don't need to watch it. I know the scenes like they're part of my DNA.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's so comforting.
Yeah.
It's just a comfort. It's
Yeah.
like, that's how I am with Buffy
Yep.
and Next Generation.
Totally.
What are you guys watching right now?
We're watching. Me and Lisa and Casey right now have dove into Northern Exposure.
Oh man. I need to do
Okay, I haven't done that yet.
So
Well,
It's not
it's
streamable anywhere.
It's not
it's
streamable
not
anywhere.
streaming anywhere.
Yeah.
But man, it's a fantastic show, and I think it's because of the radio station and the DJ is like a huge. Obviously, he's like a huge part of the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I think it's about music rights. That's why it hasn't been in syndication or anything, because
That's
it'd be
probably
very
true.
complicated to try to manage the music rights.
Yeah.
But man, it's an incredible show, just so good. And so but before that, I've been watching a lot of Knight Rider because the future
And a lot of manic.
and a lot
Oh
of
my God.
manic switch because the past.
We're getting into some old school shit
Oh, yeah.
right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
We're doing some deep
Yes.
dives here.
We
Because
get-
it's like, well, we've got the time. So
Yeah,
true.
we get real
just
weird.
fucking do
We
it.
watched all of the Star Trek, all of the old
All
Star, all
of the
three
original series.
seasons of the original
That was
series.
before quarantine, though.
It
We
was.
took our time with that.
Oh God, it was
Wow.
wonderful.
Just to see everybody guest star in it at some point.
Every
It's
person.
incredible.
Everybody.
And that's my
Isn't that
favorite
show?
thing about
It's
watching.
like the Love Boat.
Sci-fi Law and Order. Everybody's been on
Everyone was in it.
It was, and it was so great. It's one of my favorite things about going in and watching old TV shows. Is you're like, oh my God, that guy.
Yeah.
Who was that was on Mannix the other day? We were like, is that? Remember
Oh,
he,
God,
he
yeah.
looked so young and amazing. We're like,
Oh,
is that
yeah. Tom Skerritt.
Tom Skerritt, dude? And he was
Okay.
like
Tom fucking
19.
Skerritt.
It was crazy. I
Is
loved
And
it.
Buffalo Springfield in the same episode.
Yes, and it was all about hippies, dirty hippies. It was awesome. I love
It was
it.
very awesome.
I love
It
to
was about a
step
hippie
back in
cult.
time.
Yeah.
Yes, it's my favorite thing is to go back and watch an era that has such a different concept of reality. It's like literally time traveling. I cannot. I'm sure the weeds really adding to that, but just saying.
I will do Mad Men forever. I can't stop doing like as soon as it's over, I want to start it again. And I'm like, you have to pull yourself away from the 50s. It's time.
We miss all of our times at the Dresden. We had so much fun there.
No.
So fun.
Tom Skerritt is another one of my crushes.
I knew it.
Just FYI.
I
Specifically in Top Gun,
Oh yes,
when he's in a uniform. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. And he's bossing Tom Cruise around,
Yeah, he is.
being like, "You're nothing like your daddy."
He's such a sensitive boss too. Like you can tell he cares about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, such a father figure.
Totally. I am watching my regular circuit of New Girl. I've seen your episode like 5 times since quarantine, Natalie.
Oh my God.
And Parks and Rec, clearly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I already finished it. I was like, I gotta do another one. I did The Office. I did Parks and Rec. I did Star Wars. I was like, I
I am
did a lot.
constantly watching Frasier forever
I am
and all
constantly
time.
watching Frozen 1 and Frozen 2.
Same.
So good, back to back. Disney Plus, man. Yes.
My kid is like decided this is his
Oh my
jam,
God.
and I'm
Same.
like,
It's
okay,
a great jam. I love that she's just like sisterly love forever.
Love of Frozen.
Guys, I don't know why you worry so much about it because it is a great jam.
it is a
Great
great
jam.
jam. And I love that my kids and they're getting like my
Seriously.
beautiful, very soon to be macho male. I just know he's gonna be like that. I
Totally.
don't know why, but I've got a hunch. Is totally digging this very female empowered
Same.
story.
So female empowered. I love it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You can't deny the Lopez couple. man.
Valen
They're
and
incredible.
Jones are both going to grow up being like, I know what a strong female is, and I want to support her,
Exactly.
just like Olaf did.
Exactly.
And Kristoff.
And Kristoff!
He shows up at the end, and what does he say?
What do you need?
What do you
Here.
need?
What do you need?
Oh my God.
Awesome.
There's like a great meme of like him being in the carriage in like the second one when he's like, "You're acting a bit crazy," and she's like, "I'm sorry, what?" And it's just that, like, it's that gif over and over again, and just her face like zoomed in.
Yeah.
It's a perfect
I'm
moment.
sorry, what? And he's trying to like propose, like he's trying to do something nice and say something nice, and it's coming out badly, and she's like, "Who are you calling crazy?"
And also, again,
It's the best.
Yeah.
okay, but the last show I have to talk about because I love it so much right now. I'm finally watching Killing Eve.
Oh, what season are you on?
I'm getting into the first season. It was, so Jamie, who is my partner for those watching, was watching Killing Eve as his binge show right after I had given birth to our son. And so he's like, "Watch it with me, you're gonna love it." And I was like,
Not the time.
I'm watching it, but I also can't watch anything.
Right now.
Yeah.
So it would be like,
And it's a lot for that time period.
I'm so like, and he was like, "Listen, it's really okay. We can watch it again." And I was like, "Okay. I mean, I want to be here for this. I want to be a part of it." So then I was like, "This is the perfect time. Quarantine. I'm going to dive back into Killing Eve." And oh man, I said that I wanted to be the Phoebe Waller-Bridge of comics before, and now I really
Yeah.
that show
I
is
support that.
marvelous.
Did you watch her Amazon special of Fleabag live?
We went. That was one of the very first date nights that Jamie took me out on after we had the baby. Was going to see it broadcast in National Theater Live at UCLA. So we saw the last show.
Wow.
Oh,
So wait,
my God.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge wrote Killing Eve?
Yeah.
Oh, I did
She
not
writes
know
Killing Eve.
that.
and she writes the shit out of it.
She's executive producing a new show as well.
HBO.
I coached Ed for the audition a bunch. What's it called? Get out, get this, something.
Run.
Get out.
Get this.
Run.
No, it's run.
Get this, get out. Run, right.
Run.
Run.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so we have 9 minutes left. What do we cover? Have we talked about absolutely everything?
Well, we did talk about a lot of stuff. I think we asked questions.
Yeah.
Natalie was amazing with her insights.
gosh.
I'm just, I can't tell you how thrilled I am that you're having this positive experience
Yeah.
with this scenario. I just, like Kelly Sue had said before, when we kind of come into this, it was like right in kind of the heat of that
Yeah.
complicated situation with the Gamergate and the whatever. And there was this slight apprehension, like, I hope we're not about to walk into some sort of like
Weird.
like
Tension.
snake pit or whatever. And luckily we didn't. I mean,
Mhm.
also we're not the kind of individual people who are gonna put up with that shit anyway or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
bring it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want any of this. But
Oh, here we go.
so I'm not looking for a fight, but I was just like, we're not going to shy away from something. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know what we're walking into. And I just can't, we ended up, it's been nothing but positive for us. We've had nothing but positive experiences. And I'm just so glad that has become the norm,
Yeah.
at least in our world and now in your world. And I'm just pleased as punch that you are having such a great experience and that all of these people now who watch get to have this balanced experience.
Yeah.
And all the little girls and all the little boys who get to see this get to see now that we can all be strong, competent, interesting, complex, devious creatures,
Totally.
like it really isn't about the body that you come in. It's about the way you think and the way you decide to operate in this reality, and
I think it's so great.
this is great.
To punctuate this entire experience with this, where it's like, we're so used to, as people who follow mainstream shit, or as people who are in the comic book community and industry, we're so used to the hate getting the news, where it's like when everybody was super pissed about Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, or everybody is pissed about the way that they're dressing Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, or everybody's pissed about all of these different elements the process of making this a more collaborative, more open, more equitable experience for everybody, gender, race, sexuality, or whatever, that it's so great to just have a conversation where someone's like, actually, it's been amazing. It's been really supportive. I don't have hate, and I'm feeling very welcomed by this fandom. It's just so awesome.
Yeah. And also I think like I got very lucky to be specifically on The Flash because the cast and crew is a very loving and playful environment, which I think it really translates in the Arrowverse. I think people know The Flash as like that fun show because you can really see the playfulness within it. They let us have these, crazy, they let us really go free with like improvising with each other or, being playful with each other on set. I'm not a huge improviser. I don't deviate too much from writing. I think just from knowing so many writers and having so much respect for like the amount of effort that's poured over every word. But there's a certain amount of play that I think is present on The Flash that I didn't know was there before I had actually gotten there. And so as coming from a comedy background, someone who does like live comedies and multi-camera stuff, and that's the things that I feel like I thrive in, I don't necessarily think I would thrive in an hour-long drama, but that's not what this is. This is so much play, so much heart, so much room for fun. And I think that translates so much for the fans as well, and creates fans that have fun watching it and they can tell that you're having fun doing it, which I think makes a huge difference.
Oh, it's
So
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thanks, Natalie.
Natalie, you were the best first
Everything.
everything. This has been
I'd
wonderful.
like to thank my VP of Communications.
Yes. Well, and Natalie was also a huge part of the supportive landing right after I had started
Yeah.
Hex 11 and
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
She's been a friend of the Hex
For
from the
so
get-go.
long.
So
Yes.
thank you so much
Yes,
for
thanks,
being our
Natalie.
first.
Yay!
I love you guys. I have so much respect for you guys, so much respect for what you do, how hard you work. I know the ins and outs of it. I've seen it. I'm a witness to everything that you put into it and all the heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears that you pour into this work. And I'm so glad that people enjoy it and that it continues to grow and continues to bring so much like happiness and entertainment to people, especially right now. And I know that so many huge things are coming, and I would always do anything with you guys and happy to collaborate on anything, anytime. So
Oh, you're the
Thank you so much.
best.
Love.
She's gonna be our fae. Oh my gosh, Natalie would be such a great fae.
It would be a good
Would
thing.
you like to play a like
cast me.
thirsty killer villainess who is
Who wouldn't?
who
Yeah,
wouldn't?
well,
Yeah,
you get
it's
to wear
so
a pink
true.
wig. I mean, come on.
Come on.
I was sold on Bloodthirsty.
I love it.
You had me at bloodthirsty.
Totally. Well, I love you so dearly. I'm going to end this live stream now. You can stay on if you want, Nat.
Let
But,
us say thank you to
we'll
all
say
of
bye.
our
Thank
patrons.
you,
Thanks so much,
patrons.
We're gonna do this every other Friday. We'll have the
Yes, we are.
guests, and
Yes.
this will evolve as all things do. We like to fly by the seat of our pants.
We do.
So we'll see. This will get better.
Yes.
You never know what's gonna happen. Stay tuned. Maybe we're gonna start singing.
And if this ends up anywhere,
maybe we're gonna change our clothes. Who knows?
if this ends up anywhere after this that is not patrons only, please subscribe to our Patreon if you want to continue to be part of these awesome conversations.
Yes.
And then follow everybody on all of their channels. Natalie is at Natalie Dreyfuss on Instagram. We are at the HexComix on Instagram. I am at Kelly Sue Says on Instagram. So you can keep in touch with all of us and find out about all the goings on forever and all time. Amen.
Yes. Amen.
Awesome.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Natalie.
guys. We love you.
We love you.
See you later.